Hunters are pretty top tier when it comes to Solar 3.0 builds, and when you combine the right aspects and fragments with exotic armour, then Hunters can become pretty much unstoppable in PvE. Well, today I'm going to dive into a DPS build for Hunters with Solar 3.0, Star Eater scales plus a combination of weapons and mods. Well, if you're new around here and found this useful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below for all the latest Destiny 2 content and turn on notifications by hitting that bell. And roughly 98% of viewers who watch This Week in Video Games aren't subscribed, so subscribe today and never miss an update. Well, Blade Barrage has been fixed and it's made a massive comeback this season. The Solar 3.0 rework has really helped this super find its place in the meta for Solar Hunters this season, plus a decent combination of aspects, fragments and exotic armour allows you to get some of the biggest DPS output per super in the game right now. Well, today we're going to talk about that combination so you can melt bosses in seconds. Well, the key elements of this build are exotic boots called Star Eater scales. These boots were massively overpowered when they first came out in Season of the Splicer, but were dialed back somewhat in the seasons after. Well, now with the Solar 3.0 rework, they once again help give Hunters huge damage, and Star Eater scales enhance the damage of supers by picking up orbs of power and building up stacks of something called Feast of Light. If you can gather 8 stacks of Feast of Light, then your super can reach around 600 to 700,000 damage per super, and that's going to blow away most enemies and also take a huge chunk of health from bosses. Well, this build today doesn't really require too much setup. The objective is to create a loop of gathering Feast of Light stacks. So we used to be able to create orbs with masterwork weapons, although that has changed now, so you do have to put on some siphon mods on your helmet. You can use harmonic siphon mods, that work really well when using the same element with the weapons and the subclass, which we're going to do here in the build today. That is going to help you generate orbs of power and power up your super. Plus we're going to be boosting our intellect with elemental well mods to help regenerate our supers faster, meaning more supers more of the time. Okay, without further delay, let's dive into the build and let's look at the Solar 3.0 setup. So for my super, I'm using Blade Barrage. For the class ability, I'm using Gambler's Dodge. For my melee ability, I'm using Knife Trick. And my grenade, I'm using Fusion Grenade. For my aspects, I'm using Knock 'em Down. So Blade Barrage launches more projectiles, and while Radiant, final blows with Equipped Throwing Knife refund melee energy. I'm also using On Your Mark, so precision final blows grant players and nearby allies increased weapon handling and reload speed for a short duration. That stacks 3 times, and activating the class ability immediately grants stacks of On Your Mark. In terms of the fragments, I'm using Ember of Beams. Your solar super projectiles have stronger target acquisition, really good with Blade Barrage. I'm using Ember of Torches, powered melee attacks against combatants make players and nearby allies radiant. Ember of Solace, radiant and restoration effects applied to players have an increased duration. Ember of Eruption, your solar ignitions have an increased area of effect. And finally, Ember of Searing, so defeating scorched targets grant melee energy and it adds plus 10 to recovery. Well, next up, let's have a look at the exotic armour. So Star Eater scales are exotic hunter leg armour introduced in Season of the Splicer. Looking at the main perk, we've got Feast of Light. So you gain additional super energy from orbs of power that you pick up. While your super energy is full, picking up an orb of power overcharges your super, causing you to gain a burst of healing when cast and bonus to your super damage. At maximum overcharge, you also gain an overshield. Well, to get Star Eater scales, you can get these from Legend and Master Lost sectors on leg day when you run them solo. Well, next up, let's check out the weapons. In the kinetic slot, I'm using Reckless Endangerment. That one is a legendary kinetic shotgun with a lightweight frame, meaning it's got superb handling and you move faster with the weapon equipped. In the energy slot, I'm using Drang. This one is a legendary energy sidearm. I've got one with Incandescent, and that means defeating a target spreads Scorch to those nearby. More powerful combatants and opposing guardians cause Scorch in a larger radius. This is going to help spread Scorch even more and work great with this Solar 3.0 build. In the power slot, I'm using Galahorn. That one is an exotic power rocket launcher that fires solar damage and comes with some pretty special perks. Wolfpack rounds being the main one, so rounds fired split into tracking cluster missiles upon detonation. And you also have Pack Hunter, so gain increased handling and reload speed when standing near allies, and firing the weapon Also grants wallpack rounds to nearby allies wielding non-exotic rocket launchers. You can get that one by owning the 30th anniversary pack and visiting Shoreham on the Cosmodrome. Well, next up, let's have a look at the mods. So you should prioritise high mobility and resilience for a hunter. Armour mods that create elemental wells, they increase the damage after picking up an element, or here we're actually going to regen our super much faster. Classy Restoration is also a very good mod this season. You shouldn't make a build without it. I know it's going away in future seasons, but it will probably be replaced with something as good, or maybe even better. On your helmet though, you do want to use Harmonic Siphon. I'm also using Solar Siphon mods. That helps generate orbs of power for powering up Star Eater scales. More than likely, you will be in a fire team where people are going to be generating orbs left, right and centre, but you don't want to leave it up to other people, so wear those Siphon mods on your helmet. I'm also using basic Elemental Well mods, so Elemental Ordnance. Defeating combatant with a grenade spawns an Elemental Well that matches the subclass energy type. I'm using Bountiful Wells, so Elemental Well mods that cause you to spawn Elemental Wells, like Elemental Ordnance, now spawn additional wells for each additional copy of the mod you have equipped. So if you have one Elemental Ordnance equipped, you kill someone with a grenade, you will generate one Elemental Well. If you have 3 Elemental Ordnance mods equipped and you've got Bountiful Wells equipped, then you're going to generate 3 Elemental Wells. I'm also using Seeking Wells, so get those wells to come to you. I'm using Font of Wisdom, so picking up an Elemental Well matches the subclass energy type, grants a temporary bonus to Intellect, and that helps recharge your super even faster. I'm also using Classy Restoration, so activating your solar class ability grants you restoration. Basically, we're creating Elemental Wells through our grenades. Bountiful Wells is going to give us more Elemental Wells for each instance of Elemental Ordnance we have. So every time we get a grenade kill, we're going to get 3 Solar Wells. Then I'm using Font of Wisdom to boost my intellect and get my super back nice and quickly. And then we can unleash our Blade Barrage much more and get loads of damage on our enemies. Well, let me know what you think of the build in the comments and let me know if you've got any improvements. Well, that is it for this Hunter 3.0 build with Star Eater scales in Destiny 2. And as always, thank you so much for watching. For more Destiny 2 content like this, hit that subscribe button down below and subscribe to This Week in Video Games. Or you can check me out on Twitter at TWIVG Podcast. If you enjoyed this video, found it useful, liking and sharing the video would really help me out. Otherwise, check out the other videos on the channel. Well, thanks again. I'll see you soon.